Shift our focus to other big story of the day. In a major assurance to live-in couples, Allahabad High Court has granted protection. This essentially means that live-in couples need not worry about threat to life and can seek police protection. Now, the court, while hearing the matter, has said that live-in relationships have become a part and parcel of life and that it needs to be viewed from the lens of personal autonomy rather than notions of social morality. Now, the court made these observations while hearing several petitions that were filed, of course, and this particular case has, this plea actually was moved by an interfaith live-in couple alleging threat to their lives from the relatives of the woman. The court said that the police authorities are obligated to protect the rights of the petitioners. In fact, this is a significant observation that has come from Allahabad High Court, where they have categorically said that live-in relationships have now become part and parcel of lives, basically reiterating the bigger point that was made by the Supreme Court. In fact, Allahabad High Court has significantly asked the state as well as the police to ensure that protection is given to all the live-in relationship couples. In fact, to talk a little more on this big story and share his perspective, I am now being joined by A.L. Banerjee, former DGP UP. Mr. Banerjee, thank you for taking the time out and speaking to us. First of all, if you just heard the news, the Allahabad High Court actually reiterated the SC's point on live-in relationships, backing the rights of the couple who are right now in live-in relationships. High Court also has highlighted how police is obligated to protect the rights of couples. Do you think enough is being done by the cops presently of different states when it comes to cases like these?
You will have to look at it from a very different angle, from the angle of the policeman or the police personnel. Now, what happens is that in such cases where people start living in, the police is not informed that a couple is living together. So the kind of protection that the couple may be asking for is not available. Number two, normally what happens in these cases is why did this case go to the High Court? Or rather, why do these cases end up in such a huge controversy? The fact remains is that the parents of the girl in particular, if it is an interfaith affair, if it is somebody whom they don't like, if it is an inter-caste affair, they'll invariably try to get their daughter back. When they go to the police, the first thing they do is there's a huge pressure on the police to rescue the girl. So the police goes about trying to rescue the girl without trying to find out if the girl in particular is a legal major or not. So that creates the problem. It is not that the police does not want to protect these couples, or for that matter, the police is antisocial to that extent that they wouldn't like people to live in. The police doesn't have time for all those things. But because of the societal pressure and because of the kind of complaints that come to the police acts in the way it does. So you have to take it. It is like if you do, you are damned. If you don't, you are damned. So they'd rather do and be damned rather than not do and be damned. Because suddenly if something wrong happens, if the girl is a minor, etc., then the question will arise, why didn't you go? So the police take it into this way that, fair enough, this thing has happened, let us intervene. Let us intervene in this particular fashion. We'll find out about the date of birth or the actual age of the girl only when the girl is rescued, because that is a medical thing, and it depends on the kind of certificates that the lady can provide. So that is the issue. That is the problem.
Okay, Mr. Banerjee, another important thing which needs to be highlighted here is that in this particular case, in this particular plea, it is related to an interfaith couple who was living in a live-in relationship. Do you think cases like these, when interfaith couple or interfaith girl or boy or man or woman is involved, the case becomes even more complicated and police actually do not want to interfere at all because it becomes a very, very sensitive issue?
You see, if there is an interfaith matter and if the parents of the girl have complained, there are possibilities of the whole matter getting out of hand, blowing out of hand, becoming a huge law and order problem. So instead of making it into a huge problem, they probably confront a smaller problem by getting hold of the man who is eloped. That is what the FIR will invariably say, or the girl, and bring her back to the parents. So that is one reason, that is one major reason, because otherwise, you see, even during my tenure, whenever I have been in active service, I have found that there is a huge undercurrent inside the society to not let these things happen. Not let nobody wants a live-in relationship living next to them, living in their own colonies. But it is looked down upon. So this creates problems. Instead of that, of course, the legal truth is that people can live together. The Supreme Court has very clearly laid down the law saying that there is nothing wrong in if people who are both majors want to live together and without getting married. So here lies the issue that there is a huge social pressure, huge family pressure, even political pressure to go and sort out this problem as easily as possible by getting hold of one of them. So that is why what this is happening.
Okay, right. Thank you, Mr. A.L. Banerjee, for taking the time out and speaking to us on this big story. Let me go across to Brinda Adige now, who is an activist and has been very, very vocal about these issues. So, Brinda, thank you for taking the time out and speaking to us. First of all, if we talk about the observations that have been made by the Allahabad court in this particular case, but one can't ignore the fact and help and point out that courts, be it Supreme Court or High Courts, are still forced to make these stern observations in different cases like these, even when we are living in 21st century. Do you think observations like these or rulings like these actually really help in bringing about the much needed change in the mindset of the people? Because the real problem actually lies there.
You're absolutely right. I'm very happy with the progressive findings and the progressive statement that has been made by the Allahabad court. Yes, it is important for the courts to time and again reiterate something like this because this is part of my constitution, a constitution that guarantees right to life and right to personal liberty. This cannot be taken away by anybody. And as you pointed out, is it required even now and then? Will this be the only answer? No. Creating awareness is very important. Also very important for our leaders, especially elected representatives, to reiterate these talk of what constitutional guarantees are. Now, the police are there to enforce the rule of law, not the sentiments of people. One of the statements made by your previous panelist was that police have to be worried about law and order. Police have to, rescue the girl. Police have to first learn to respect that if she is a major, and that certificate can be got by the parents itself. When the parents come and tell you she's a child, how do you believe? So that is the first step. You take in the certificate and then explain to the parents or the family, this child, this person is a major, crossed 18 years of legal age, which means she has a right to decide with who she wants to live and how she wants to live. You cannot pressurize the police to bring in sentiments of culture or sentiments of retrograde thinking that without a marriage, why is the woman living there together? How can I have a neighbor who is not married? We need to continuously create this education and awareness to all. But that does not excuse or absolve the police of putting into place the law that is already there. Their job is to explain. Police are, after all, reflection of the community, of the society. But police have the authority and the power to enforce law. And that cannot be abused. Right now, constantly we see this is being abused by the police, and that is unacceptable. So live-in relationship is my right, my choice to liberty as guaranteed by the Constitution. Police's job is to go there to rescue only only if they think that the person is underage. But they must get all of the certificates beforehand. Why rush into something with having just half information? That is unacceptable.
Of course. Thank you, Brinda, for taking the time out and speaking to us on this big story. So big and very, very important observations there by Allahabad High Court, backing the rights of all those couples who choose to live in relationships. And of course, stressing on the point that state and police are fully responsible for protecting these couples. Time to slip into a very, very short break. Lots more lined up on the other side.